Do you really choose your actions? Or are you simply playing out a script written by the universe, long before you were born? Imagine this: every thought, every decision, every mistake, and every triumph already determined by causes outside your control. Welcome to one of the oldest and deepest mysteries in philosophy and science, the paradox of free will in a deterministic universe. In this video, we're going to dive deep into this mind-bending question. We'll explore philosophy, neuroscience, quantum mechanics, morality, and even pop culture to figure out if we are truly free or just biological machines following cosmic laws. Buckle up, because by the end, you may never look at your choices the same way again. Life isn't just yours, it's everywhere, it's everything, and we're here to explore it all. Be curious and stay curious. Let's start simple. What exactly is free will? People use the phrase all the time, but it actually has different meanings in philosophy. First, there's what's called libertarian free will, not about politics, but the idea that our choices are truly free, uncaused, and independent. For example, if you decide between coffee or tea this morning, it's entirely your doing, not predetermined by anything else. Then there's determinism, the belief that every single event in the universe, including your thoughts and choices, is caused by previous events. Your preference for coffee might be determined by your genetics, childhood experiences, brain chemistry, and cultural influences. Finally, we have compatibilism, the middle ground. This view says free will and determinism can actually coexist. If your decisions come from your own desires and reasoning, even if those desires are determined by the past, you can still be considered free. Keep these definitions in mind, because the rest of our journey revolves around them. The free will debate isn't new. It's been around for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, philosophers like Democritus believed the universe was made of atoms, moving according to strict laws. That sounds pretty deterministic, but Aristotle introduced nuance. He argued that humans have a special capacity for deliberation. While much of the world is bound by necessity, people can reflect and choose. The Stoics, on the other hand, leaned into determinism. They believed in fate, but redefined freedom as acceptance. True freedom comes from aligning your will with the rational order of the cosmos. Later, Christian thinkers like Augustine of Hippo faced a new puzzle. If God already knows everything, including the future, then how can we act freely? Augustine argued that divine foreknowledge doesn't cancel free will, a debate that still echoes today. Fast forward to the scientific revolution. Enter Isaac Newton and the Clockwork universe. Suddenly, the cosmos looked like a gigantic machine, precise, predictable, and determined by mathematical laws. Then came Pierre-Simon Laplace, who imagined an all-knowing intelligence, sometimes called Laplace's demon. If this being knew the position of every particle in the universe at one moment, it could predict the entire future. In that vision, your life, my life, every decision already written. This deterministic worldview terrified some thinkers, but also inspired Enlightenment philosophers, like Immanuel Kant, who argued that while the physical world might be deterministic, humans also exist in a higher moral realm where freedom is possible. Okay, let's bring it closer to home. What does modern neuroscience say? In the 1980s, a researcher named Benjamin Libet ran famous experiments. He asked participants to press a button whenever they felt like it, using brain scans. He discovered something shocking. The brain showed activity milliseconds before the participants consciously decided to act. In other words, the brain seemed to decide before the person even knew they had made a choice. This raised the possibility that free will is an illusion, that we're just rationalizing decisions after the fact. But critics point out problems. Pressing a button in a lab isn't the same as making a real-world moral or life-changing decision. And Libet himself argued that humans might still have veto power, what he called free won't. Maybe we can't choose every impulse, but we can stop ourselves. Just when determinism seemed airtight, quantum mechanics burst onto the scene. At the quantum level, particles don't follow strict paths. They exist in states of probability, and their behavior can only be predicted statistically. This means the universe isn't as deterministic as Newton imagined. Some people see this as a lifeline for free will. But hold on, randomness isn't the same as freedom. If your decisions are the result of random quantum fluctuations, that's not really you choosing either. So, while quantum mechanics pokes holes in strict determinism, it doesn't automatically rescue free will. This is where compatibilists step in. Philosophers like David Hume and modern thinkers like Daniel Dennett argue that we don't need spooky, magical freedom. We just need the ability to act according to our own desires and reasoning. If I choose to drink coffee because I want it, without anyone forcing me, that's freedom even if my desire for coffee has causes behind it. Critics say this redefines free will rather than solving the problem. But compatibilism remains one of the most popular positions because it preserves both responsibility and rational choice without denying science. Now, let's talk about why this matters to everyday life. Law and justice, if everything we do is predetermined. Can we hold people morally responsible for crimes? Some argue punishment should shift from retribution to rehabilitation, focusing on preventing harm rather than assigning blame. Achievement and identity. If determinism is true, are your achievements really yours? Is Beethoven responsible for his symphonies, or was he just the product of genes and upbringing? Compassion. Believing in determinism can actually make us more compassionate if people act the way they do. Because of causes beyond their control, it might help us understand rather than judge. This paradox has inspired countless stories. Dostoevsky's notes from underground challenges determinism by embracing irrational freedom. Shakespeare's tragedies, like Macbeth, grapple with fate and choice. Movies like The Matrix and Minority Report dramatize the tension between destiny and free will. Clearly, this isn't just an abstract puzzle. It's a theme we keep returning to because it cuts to the heart of what it means to be human. So, how should we live with this paradox? Here are 4 takeaways. 1. Act as if you're free. Even if determinism is true, believing in your agency can motivate you to grow and achieve. 2. Focus on influence, not absolute control. You may not control everything, but you can shape habits, environments, and choices. 3. Practice compassion. Recognize that people's actions come from complex causes. It makes empathy easier. 4. Embrace the mystery. Maybe the paradox isn't meant to be solved but lived with, and that's okay. What's next for the free will debate? AI and predictive technology might soon predict human decisions with shocking accuracy. Will that prove determinism, or just reveal new layers of complexity? Neuroscience continues to dig deeper into how decisions form in the brain. But philosophy reminds us, even if we solve the science, the question of freedom and meaning may never go away. Maybe the paradox itself, the tension between freedom and necessity, is what drives us to create, to reflect, and to evolve. So, do we have free will, or is everything predetermined? Honestly, the answer might be both or neither. But one thing is certain, the paradox forces us to confront who we are, what we value, and how we live. If you found this deep dive thought-provoking, I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe in free will, determinism, or something in between? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who loves philosophy. It really helps the channel grow and keeps these conversations alive. Thanks for watching. Be curious, stay curious,